one of my favorite people in the entire world, Geoff Meade, who recently just built up a whole new bike. And I did a bike check with his previous bike, and it was really awesome. This bike is built for freestyle. It's built to do everything you could want to do on a bike. And I thought it'd be cool to get an updated version. So Geoff, can you tell me about your bike?
Compared to the last one, I am now riding the V2 of the Tech Bike Co. Trident. We got the 20.75 inch top tube, 75-degree head tube angle, 13.5 inch chainstays with the standing platform. I use the standing platform, nice little freestyle piece, nice little throwback to back in the day. And the rest of this bike is just full freestyle. Rocking 4 pegs, front and rear brakes, got all 4 hub guards on here. This time around, I decided to go as light as I could. So while my wallet is much lighter right now, I did tie spokes in my wheels, tie cranks, got a couple of tie headset spacers, and then the rest of this, there's some throwback to some retro tech that I wanted to bring back as well.
So let's start at the back and go to the front.
I did Alien Nation rims for this bike with the Venus Free Coaster in the rear with some tie spokes and E-Clap Mirage tire. It's a folding Kevlar with some Haro Fusion pegs, the new ones that are aluminum. Dual hub guards in the back and a pair of Odyssey Evo 2.5s, front and rear. I like stopping. Moving on up, I've got RNC titanium 22mm spindle cranks in a 165, profile blackjack sprocket. I did that with this build because the first bike part I ever bought with my own money growing up was a profile blackjack. I even have the sprocket tattooed on my body, and I've owned it in like 36 and 44. It was just kind of a throwback to my younger bikes that I had that were set up pretty close to this thing right now.
What chain do you have?
I'm running a KMC SL hollow pin chain. Moving up, Alien Nation seat, salt seat post, and an RNC tie seat post clamp. And then I run a little mod in the back to keep my cables away from the standing platform and to give you a little bit more leverage as well because of the cable pull. Just one of those old cable routing pieces to kind of give me a little bit more leverage and to tuck everything up in the back. So colony pedals that I think that's the only pedal that they carry. I can't remember. Headset is Stranger. I got a 0 stack headset with a 25mm stack height tie spacer, just one guy. And on top of that is my Woodard Designs stem. The stem I'm actually pretty fond of. It's got the gyro tab CNC'd right onto it. Stiffens up your brakes, and also with bikes with taller head tubes, it gives you a little bit more room for your gyro to float to make your brakes feel better. So in combination with my cable crosser and then having that much float for my gyro, I can really let my brake pull be a little bit longer, which I enjoy for technical tricks. Get a little bit better grip of the handlebars and my brake lever at the same time. Moving on up, I've run in a pair of kink bars. It's the Health bars, 9.5 inches of rise. And on the front of those, I have 2 fly brake levers and a pair of grips that I got today.
What about the forks and front wheel and everything?
Forks are Odyssey Freestyle forks in the F25 with a 75-degree head tube angle and 25mm dropouts. Makes for a pretty stable but responsive front end. Same thing in the rear. I've got the Haro Fusion pegs with a Primo N4FL internally spoke-laced hub with the tie spokes and the Alien Nation rim and another E-Clap Mirage tire.
What are you fond of about that hub?
That hub, I've owned several in a row. I like to lace the spokes on the inside of the hub there with the guards. It's a pretty bulletproof hub. Sadly, I don't think they're making them anymore. I think there's another brand that's going to be taking over that, but it is a pretty bulletproof hub that doesn't weigh a whole lot. So I'm a big fan of them, own a few of them.
What about your front brake cable and some of the stuff that you have on your cables up there?
The front brake cable is, I pulled it off of the old bike to put on the new bike because this cable just won't die. It's the Nokon aluminum braided front cable. So for a bigger tire, it's really easy to pull it up and out of the way, and it is very bendy. So it makes a nice bend to get to the brake to keep the front brakes running very smooth. I'm also running a derailleur cable inside of it with a derailleur cable adapter, just to run a slightly thinner cable for less drag. And I believe the one that I found when I first put it on my bike is a shifter cable, no-con cable, not the brake one. So all in all, it's a little bit narrower in outer diameter, and then running the derailleur cables is actually kind of easy. These you can get at any mountain bike shop. They're kind of just cable guides for mountain bikes. And since the aluminum cable rattles all over the place, it kind of holds that cable in place and keeps it from tapping on the inside of my head tube.
Nice. Did you mention Tubolitos?
I am running Tubolitos front and rear. I run the Prestas because I've been having a much better time running the Prestas, and these rims were already previously drilled for Presta out of the box. So, and also working in shops my whole life, running the Presta isn't any different than running the Schrader, and I'm sure it probably weighs a little bit less in the end game of things.
So, knowing Geoff personally, I know that he's pretty particular about some things. Like, what parts on this bike are you super particular about now that you've built up? Because I know you were very intentional about building it.
My stem, the Woodard design stem that I have on the front of it, I pretty much saw it on Instagram, and he said that he was only making a couple for him and his friends, and I slipped into the DMs and demanded to have one. This is everything that I've wanted out of a stem for a while, because I've been running gyro and brakes for a super long time, and I wanted something that was close to what I was kind of running as a kid, but a top loader, raise the front end up a little bit more. And then with the tie bolts and the countersunk headset cap, makes my front end just the right height and keeps everything nice and tight and clean looking.
Anything else?
I am a huge advocate of my brake crosser in the back. I'm actually working on trying to get those to become a little bit more available for people to try out. Even though the brakes on the Trident frame come on the seat stays, I think this would actually help a lot of dirt jumpers with brakes mounted on the chain stays to keep the cables nice and low and out of the way and pulling the leverage wise the right way. And my Alien Nation Venus hub, the planetary hubs are big gold star for me.
I think the only question left to ask is, what's it weigh?
I am at 24.4 pounds, and I'm pretty proud of that. So with this, it's been an experience. 24.4 pounds. I know I haven't beat Nyquist yet. I know Nyquist has front and rear brakes on all 4 pegs, and I think he's a little less than I am at right now. But for having 4 hub guards, 4 pegs, gyro, front and rear brakes, both levers on the bars, and I think I did a pretty good job.
Yeah, so that bike is literally built for freestyle. Anything you could imagine other than a coaster brake and tricks you do with coaster brakes or locking levers, you can do on your bike.
Yeah. And sub-edit, I'm actually running the same peg extender as the first video on my ice pick side. Gives me an extra 6 millimeters on my peg. Turns these 4.3 pegs into a little over 4.5. Which is nice to get grip and do some ice picks.
So, with that being said, where can people find you on the internet if they want to see you riding this thing?
I am on Instagram at Geoff_Meade_BMX. It's GEOFF. And on the Tech Bike Co. Instagram.
Geoff's awesome. He's one of my favorite people on the planet, and I'm stoked that we could do a pretty in-depth breakdown of this new bike that he's built. Are you stoked on it?
I am excited on it.
You're riding it awesome. I watched Geoff do something today that I can't even fathom. So
have to do it in my incredibly late welcome to Tech Bike Co.
So on that note, subscribe here if you haven't. Follow Geoff on Instagram. Follow Tech Bike on Instagram. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.